Hello, hi. How you feeling? How you doing? How you living? All right. So today's book review is about. I actually think this is my favorite book for 2025. The book is called The Aging Brain, and it was written by Dr. Timothy R. Jennings, who's got an MD, of course, hence the title Doctor. So it's proven steps to prevent dementia and sharpen your mind. Okay, so this is a really good book. I'm going to keep it brief because I want you to actually read it, right? So I'm going to try to just talk on the highlights, etc. So basically, when he starts the book off, chapter one is the problem of aging, and he kind of illustrates the top killers that exist today. This book was written a while ago, but I think these top killers haven't really changed much since then. So cardiovascular disease, cancer, stroke, chronic lung disease, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, flu and pneumonia, and accidental injury, right? So when he speaks about healthy living, right, he's basically referring to how to make your physical body healthier. Because if your physical body is healthier, then your brain is going to, of course, get the knock-on effect from the rest of your body, and your brain is also going to be healthier, right? And if your brain is healthier, then you're going to make healthier decisions. If you're making healthier decisions, many of these diseases do not arise. So basically, prevention is better than cure, pretty much. Okay, so he then goes, chapter 2, developing a healthy brain. All right, it needs a healthy body. That is a prerequisite. It's a prerequisite. It is definitely a prerequisite, because if you don't have a healthy body, then you probably may not have a healthy brain, because the two things are correlated. They go together, right? So basically, one thing was practicing really good oral hygiene, brushing, flossing, getting regular dental checkups. These are really important because there's some kind of really strong relationship between your dental care and your mental state, which is very fascinating. Okay, then he of course says you need to establish a relationship with your primary care physician, naturally, so that you can get like a heads up really quickly if something's going wrong, generally all over, right? So all over the body, in the mind, etc. Inventorying your life. So taking stock of your life is very important, because then it helps you identify practices that you know, and then you can kind of like drill into those and understand if those are good or bad practices, and then it can help you make those tweaks and live better, right? And then he encourages sharing, lifestyle habits with friends and family, because they know how to, point you in the right direction. They can criticize you and tell you like, no, you need to kind of reduce doing this and that, and you should do the same for them. So that was interesting. Engaging in lifelong learning was one that was very obvious, because if you think about it, the more you learn, the more your brain develops. The more your brain develops, the more you're exercising your brain. The more you're exercising your brain, the healthier your brain is, according to the chapter. Okay, so he also says begin walking 20 minutes each day, minimum. Okay, then we went forward into a chapter called Epigenetics and Aging, Impact from Our Ancestors and DNA. There was some very, very interesting phenomenon surrounding DNA that he touched on, but I won't touch on that because I don't want to steal from the joy of discovering that yourself when you read the chapter, if you decide to do that. Okay, so he speaks about the need to adapt and change, and based on our life experiences, so our choices will either increase or decrease our risk for dementia, right? Essentially, every experience in life changes us. We not only form new memories, but also our gene expressions and brain structures actually change, which result in either accelerated or slowed aging. Okay, so while we can't change history, we can make modifications in our lives today, right? And those modifications can help us by being a positive influence on our gene expression, brain development, health, and aging. Okay, so of course, as you see, it's just basically speaking about how important it is to take stock of your life and what you're doing, and being conscientious about your lifestyle habits, choices, decisions, and the likes. And then resentment, anger, bitterness activate the brain stress pathways, increasing inflammation and accelerating aging, while undermining physical and mental health, all of which increase risk of dementia. Right? Forgiving others was also very encouraged in this chapter, because that actually reduces the activation of the immune system and results in better mental and physical health. Interesting. Okay, so and then they actually really touched on the importance of like healing trauma. So if that's there, therapy is really recommended, so that because if you actually heal the trauma, it can't continue to hold you hostage in the mental sense and also in the actual physical sense of the brain, right? Okay, so elevating your life history. So yeah, evolve beyond pain, basically. Fill your life with a variety of interesting and engaging activities that stimulate your interest and expand your imagination. So, art, music, crafts, bird watching, visiting national parks, and so on. So, building your hobbies is really, really important. And then he goes on to speaking about our genes and aging and decay over time, which is a natural progression, right? But just because something is a natural progression doesn't mean we just sit back and do nothing about it and just watch it as it goes. So basically, he speaks about telomeres and aging. I found that super fascinating. Just yeah. So telomeres are lengthened by physical activities, foods high in uh, carotenoids, conflict resolution, and stress management. And the lengthening is a good thing. And then telomeres are shortened by chronic stress, conflict, a sedentary lifestyle, and diets devoid of fruits and vegetables. And that's a bad thing when they get shortened. Telomeres are the end caps that enable cells to divide and replicate. If they get too short, cells can no longer divide, impairing our body's ability to heal or replace worn out cells and thus contributing to aging. That's how that ties into everything. And then he says, without energy, input systems decay over time. The human genome is slowly decaying. Environmental factors can damage our genome and accelerate aging. These include radiation, pollutants, and infections. All really bad things. So, of course, avoiding tobacco smoke, including secondhand smoke, avoiding environments with high amounts of air pollution, increasing plant-based food options, reducing eating meat and meat cooked at high temperatures. And when cooking meat, cook at lower temperatures. Avoid sources of radiation, of course, and then be physically active in life. So don't live a sedentary lifestyle forever. Resolve relationship conflict and reduce resentment and hostility. Think of yourself, evaluate evidence, and consider which worldview is not only most consistent with the evidence but also harmonizes with design law and promotes the greatest health, right? So there's a little bit of like intentional delusion, right? Sometimes you've got to kind of like fake your way out of like a negative state, which is also really good for your brain. Basically, obesity and aging, and the link is unmistakable. So basically, here they speak about how, about like, and when I say they, I know it's just one author, but I just mean all the people who were involved in everything, right, including the author. They speaks about sleep and obesity, soybeans, and obesity, inflammation. Obesity is a problem pretty much, obviously, as we know. Genetically modified foods and obesity, and basically saying that obesity is directly proportional to aging, basically, and not all body fat is equal. That was interesting. Genetic expression and obesity and how it's passed on, etc. Then he speaks about infections, inflammation, and so many other interesting things. Okay, so oxidative stress accelerates aging and has multiple causes. Obesity is one cause of oxidative stress. Says to reduce soybean oil in the diet, use olive oil or other low LA oils more frequently. Consider reducing GMO foods. Walking 20 minutes to 30 minutes each day. Sugar oxidation and aging. There is just so much knowledge happening in this wonderful book. So much. So much. I just cannot even, I don't even want to review it really. I just wanted to kind of talk about it and say it's a magnificent read. And anybody who just has some free time and just wants to, change their lifestyle habits, preventing Alzheimer's, preventing dementia, living well, feeling younger, being more present in today, leaning more towards forgiveness, leaning more towards an intentional lifestyle. I loved how like it felt like I was reading a lot of like medical terminology, but it was coupled with like missionary stuff, right? It felt very much like a blend of like the Christian faith as well as like medical knowledge, and it just made me feel so encouraged to like live better, and I feel like that's what made it such a fantastic book. Not necessarily the quotes of what's going on in there, but like it's just a lot of education just by reading, and just encouragement. It's an awesome read.